How often do you read books?
I read books almost every night before I go to bed.
What's your favorite type of book?
I love reading about different cultures.
What can you learn from books?
Books can broaden my horizon about thousands of things around the world, and books are also my best friends.
Where do you read books?
I read books at home, sometimes in the library.
What's the most interesting book you have ever read?
I think that would be Nepal, a book written about the country of Nepal, published in 1999.
How long does it take you to finish a book?
Well, it depends on the length of the book, but it usually takes me a week to finish a 300-page book.
Do you usually bring books with you when you travel?
Yes, I do. When I'm at the airport or bus station, I read books to kill time.
Is there any bookstore or library in your area?
Unfortunately, there are none near my house. The nearest one is 3 kilometers away. What are the benefits of reading a newspaper or magazine?
Newspapers or magazines can broaden your mind about thousands of things without the need to travel.
How often do you read it?
I read it every day.
What's the best time to read the newspaper?
I think the best time is in the morning when you start a new day.
What types of magazines do you usually read?
I usually read politics and fashion magazines. I also enjoy reading about culture and tourism.
What's your favorite magazine?
My favorite is the New York Times, which writes about all sorts of things: business, sports, movies, travel, books, jobs, education, and real estate.
Do you read the paper or online news?
I prefer online news to save money.
How much does it cost you to buy a newspaper per month?
I only buy a monthly newspaper, so it doesn't cost much money. Around $5 per month.
What is the most popular magazine in your country?
I think it would be Forbes magazine, a leading source for reliable business news and financial information.
With the popularity of internet, do you think newspapers and magazines will disappear?
Yes, unfortunately, it's just a matter of time. Who wrote the letter to you?
My dad wrote the letter to me when he was on a business trip.
Did you keep the letter?
Yes, I put it in a folder. Whenever I'm down, reading his letter would be a good way to cheer me up.
What was the letter about?
He told me about his new workplace and how things were there.
How did you feel about the letter?
I was glad to know that he was fine in another city.
Do you have a letter collection?
Yes. I collect all the letters from family and friends. It's one of my hobbies.
Do you like writing letters or emails?
I prefer writing paper letters.
Do people in your country usually write letters?
Years ago they did. Now people prefer emails.
What's the difference between emails and handwritten letters?
Emails are much more convenient than letters, because they're free to send, and they get there instantly. However, letters are much more special.
Why should we write letters to friends or relatives?
It's a good way to show love to people you care about. Did you have a happy childhood?
Yes, I did. I enjoyed playing hide and seek with my peers.
Did you experience your childhood in a city or countryside?
I spent my childhood in a rural area where I could see vast rice fields.
Did you usually skip class when you were a child?
Yes, I did, and many of my friends did, too.
Who were you with when you were a child?
I was with my beloved family.
What did you want to be when you were a child?
I dreamed of being a fashion designer.
Who did you love the most when you were a child?
I loved my mom the most since she was always there and took care of me.
Who was your childhood hero?
Robin Hood, he took money from the rich and gave it to the poor.
What reminds you of your childhood?
Green rice fields, which I happen to see everywhere, remind me of my beautiful childhood.
Did you change a lot when you grew up?
Yes, of course. I'm more mature now, both physically and mentally.
Why is childhood important?
Because it shapes people into who they will become. How many events have you joined this year? What were they about?
I have joined more than 10 events so far, most of which were about education.
What was your most memorable event?
The most memorable for me was an international study conference, in which I was introduced to some famous universities in Europe to study overseas.
Was it organized indoors or outdoors?
It was an indoor event.
Who sponsored the event?
The event organizer was the Education Department of American Center, but the universities introduced in the conference were the ones who paid.
Who went to the event with you?
I went there with my friends who shared the same interest in studying abroad as me.
What were some performances in the event?
There were not many performances. Each university representative just had a speech to introduce their school to students, and then they hosted Q&A session.
Was the event shown on TV?
The event was not aired, but there were television advertisements for it.
How would someone market an event?
Taking advantage of social media is a smart way to promote an event.